Back in late June 2025, I streamed the opening night of BTS Jin's RUNSEOKJIN EP tour and wrote about and made a video about how it felt like a new blueprint for solo concerts. This is a thumbnail for that video, and I made a few guesses about how the show might evolve, how fans, armies might engage with it, and whether Jin's unfiltered style would carry through city to city. Now that the tour has officially wrapped, I wanted to circle back because honestly, watching how it unfolded over the course of several weeks across different countries and different cities, every instinct I had was not just confirmed, it was blown wide open. So let's break it down. So prediction number one, the format will evolve show by show. I said early on that this show felt designed to evolve, and it did brilliantly. Jin didn't just perform the same exact show in every city. He adapted his jokes, his games, even his game punishments based on the vibe of each crowd. Like from inflatable alien suits to hamster suit and cowboy suit to custom hockey and baseball jerseys in different cities. No two nights felt alike. It was like watching RUNSEOKJIN series go global. And that fluid structure, skipping over typical K-pop VCR breaks in favor of interactive segments and live variety remained the beating heart of the tour. Whether it was the telepathy game, the sing-along game, or moments where Jin simply riffed with the audience. This wasn't a concert that presented a story. It built one with you, with the audience in real time. Now, prediction number two, fan engagement will be central. And not just central, it was the whole point. What stood out across every review about his tour, his concerts, was how deeply collaborative the experience felt. Because Jin wasn't performing to ARMY, he was performing with them. And from joking with security guards to letting fans, sing Moon during the encore into his mic, he broke the fourth wall over and over again. And this wasn't about polished performance. It was about intimacy, chaos, and mutual affection. And the fans weren't backup singers. They were teammates, co-stars, and they were emotional support, and also comedic foils. And when Jin looked out into the crowd and said things like, "You are my special guest," it didn't sound scripted. It felt like he actually meant it. Now, moving over to prediction number three. His vocals will surprise people. And he actually exceeded expectations. And not just vocally. So Jin's vocal performance was consistently highlighted by critics. From the low resonant tone of Running Wild to the delicate falsettos in With the Clouds and the raw emotion of Abyss. He proved he's more than just the guy who hits high notes in group ballads and group songs. But more than that, he proved that he's a musician. Reviews from London and LA both emphasize his piano performances, which we will also talk about later on in this video, where he accompanied himself live as emotional high points, these critics and reviews pointed out. And in Tampa, he even picked up his guitarist instrument mid-song and nailed the riff, prompting cheers from ARMY. And it was vulnerable, yes, but it also showed just how much Jin has grown and how seriously he takes his artistry. Okay? And prediction number four, humor will be the glue. And it didn't just glue the show together. It actually defined it. So BTS Jin didn't try to be cool, so to say. He was cool by refusing to take himself seriously. Like I said, inflatable costumes and exaggerated facial expressions and tuna puns like deadpan one-liners. It was all part of the experience. And every review made it clear that this wasn't just funny for a K-pop idol. It was funny, period. Whether fans were new to BTS or long-time ARMY, his sense of timing and self-awareness landed every single night. Rolling Stone UK even said that it felt like a birthday party with 20,000 people, 20,000 friends in attendance. And another reviewer said that they hadn't laughed that hard at a concert in years. And yet, no one left feeling like it was just a gag show, so to say. Because right when he made you laugh, he would, pivot and make you cry. And speaking of which, prediction number 5, the piano section will be emotionally pivotal. And yeah, this was the emotional core. The performance of I Will Come to You and Abyss at the piano was universally cited as one of the tour's most powerful moments. Jin was visibly nervous and he openly talked about it, right? Hands shaking, voice trembling, but he didn't stop. And because of that, those performances carried weight, actually. Some artists hide their imperfections, but Jin made them part of the act. And he, like I said, he admitted openly that he only had a month of practice, and he told the crowd his legs were shaking. And then he kept playing anyway. And that vulnerability hit harder than any vocal run ever could, I feel like. Now, even with all that said, the tour, RUNSEOKJIN EP tour, still managed to surprise fans further. Like genre blending, for example. He didn't stick to one genre. There was rock, country, EDM, trotsu, and indie pop ballads, and even some light punk. And how about live band dominance? The band, Jin, RUNSEOKJIN EP tour band members didn't just back him. They became part of the show. And in true Jin fashion, he also made sure to spotlight each member at different points. And I feel like this was even more thanks to the chemistry. He told his fans during the live streams, post-concert live streams, that he asked them to teach him instruments, and in return, he was teaching them how to play games, MapleStory, although it only ended up with Jin teaching them games. He never got to learn instruments from them during the tour. But anyways, the chemistry was very obvious from the way he interacted with his band members. And also themed fan participation, ARMY, like from karaoke roulette to interactive missions. Fans didn't just show up with army bombs. They showed up in like fishing hats, pink suits, and even inflatable alien costumes. Some even wore like tuna costumes. And it became a culture of its own. And yeah, these were beautifully hilarious and beautifully weird. So yeah, final thoughts. This tour wasn't flawless in the traditional sense, and it was actually never meant to be perfect. There was no massive choreographed dance numbers, and the stage wasn't crammed with LED lifts or hydraulic platforms, and the transitions weren't tightly synced with visuals. Not saying those are bad. In fact, I am like 99% sure when BTS as a group come back and starts their tour, it will be like super fancy, I'm pretty sure. But what Jin built instead for his solo tour was like a living and breathing connection between himself and his fans. So it felt like a 2-hour space where chaos, where humor, heartbreak, and camp could all coexist. And Jin didn't just hold his own as a soloist. He actually redefined what a solo K-pop tour can feel like. That is, being personal, being unfiltered, and being endlessly surprising. And that's what I thought it would happen throughout the tour, and it actually did. Now, if you missed it, I think some fans really hope that Jin brings it back one day. As he mentioned during the last post-concert livestream he had as part of his RUNSEOKJIN EP tour in Amsterdam, after day one concert in Amsterdam. Because this wasn't just a tour, it was proof of concept for what makes Jin irreplaceable. So, before I wrap, if you are interested, go check out my, post Goyang opening night concert review. I will attach a link to the video in the description, but I want to open to you by asking questions. Which part of Jin's tour hit you the hardest emotionally and why? And if you could have attended only one city on the RUNSEOKJIN EP tour, which one would you have picked? And did anything about the tour surprise you, even as a long-time ARMY? And what was your favorite non-musical moment during the shows? Like a joke or a fan interaction or a costume, etc. Tell me about it. And which song felt completely different to you when performed live in a good way? Tell me about that. And do you think Jin set a new standard for solo K-pop concerts? Why or why not? And in what ways? And if you were curating the set list for Jin's next tour, in the distant future, what's one song you must include and one concept you would love to see him try? So, and lastly, now that you have seen the full tour play out, how would you describe it in one word, and why that word? Tell me all about it. I would love to hear from you. I'll read all the comments in the comment section. And when you when you communicate with each other, let's stay positive, respectful, and classy. Thank you guys. Peace and love. Bye-bye.